Welcome, Regines. I'm here with the manager for New York Yankees, Aaron Boone. Aaron, thank you so much for being here and making this special for all of us, during these crazy times. Aaron, how are you? How you been doing throughout this quarantine?
I'm doing pretty well. Obviously, crazy times, but all things considered, I'm doing well. Family's doing well, and looking forward to hopefully getting back to some baseball here before long.
Sure. I think we're all itching to be able to see some sports on TV and just get back to some normality. So first question I have for you, Aaron. Throughout your career, you've been a great Major League Baseball player. You've been a great broadcaster and now a really great coach. What's been your favorite part of your career? Maybe the highlight, what you're most proud of up to this point.
I don't know if I have a favorite. Honestly, I feel really blessed and fortunate that I've gotten to do, what I've loved for a career. When I was a kid, going back to before I can remember almost, I wanted to play ball, and I played football, baseball, and basketball all the way through my senior year in high school, and kind of chose baseball at that point, and was fortunate enough to go to USC for college, and then got to live out a dream of being a major league ball player. And after my career, going into broadcasting was something that was really rewarding. It kind of kept me in the game. I really enjoyed the craft of it. And then, after a while though of that, felt like the game started calling me, and was really eager to get back with the team and get into the competition of things. Was fortunate enough to get an interview with the Yankees, and it's worked out, and I've loved every minute of the job. But what's been my favorite? I don't know. It really has been. I've one of the things my dad always told me growing up when I was a kid was, if you can choose something you love to do and do it to the best of your ability, those are two hallmarks I kind of try to live by. And I've been fortunate enough to get to live out some dreams and try and do them to the best of my ability.
Sure, that's great, and you've certainly done a great job with all of it. So, yeah. So the next question I have, I think, is going to hit home for our students and even for our faculty and administration. When you think of the New York Yankees, you think of that high standard of excellence, and I think we can lightly draw the parallel to Regis in that high standard of excellence that we demand so much from our students, from our faculty, from our administration, the same way that the Yankees would do it for their players, their coaching staff, their front office. And so my question to you, with that high standard comes an undying pressure that, sometimes can be crippling for some people. And so the question that I have for you is, how do you deal with that pressure while maintaining that high standard, of being a coach of the New York Yankees?
Yeah, I think, one of the great things I feel like about with the Yankees, and, is probably something that I try and drive home the most, with our organization, is putting in place a great culture. I think with the Yankees, a lot of times when people walk in the doors, you can feel that expectation. There's that, this, in a lot of ways, this is the pinnacle. Man, I get to put on the pinstripes, that whether it's as a player, or whether it's somebody that's joining the front office, whether it's somebody that gets to work for the organization. I think it comes with that feeling of wow, this is the ultimate from a baseball standpoint. So, myself and, Brian Cashman and the Steinbrenner family, I think one of the things we try and create is a culture where, because we know that a lot of expectations come with that. We know a lot of pressure comes with that.
Mm-hmm.
We're all very demanding in a way, but we also try and create a culture that this is a place you want to come. And one of the things I tell our guys all the time is, no matter what's going on in your season, whether you're in the midst of the best year of your career, whether this is a season in which you're struggling, whether you're dealing with something off the field, whether something's great happening with you off the field, I always want our clubhouse to be a place that guys look forward to walking in the doors. And we try and really work hard to create that environment. Yeah, we're demanding. Yeah, we expect a lot. But we also expect you to come and enjoy yourself and have fun doing your job. And I feel like that has served us well, and I feel like our culture is bearing that out.
Sure. And I could tell you right now, it's something that even, we speak about throughout our faculty and administration, and especially with our students. So, coming from you, that's going to mean a lot to everyone. The next question I have, we're going to jump to a student question. This is from Andrew Joel, who's a freshman at Regis. And great question. In your opinion, what are the qualities that make a good leader? And throughout your career, have you had someone who's been a good leader to you? And what kind of stands out about that person that makes him that leader?
Two things that really stand out in answering that question for you. The first is authenticity. I think it's really important that you be true to who you are, and don't try and be something that you're not. Because I think over time, people in our industry or that I'm dealing with, players, I feel like they'll sniff that out, and they sniff fraudulence out pretty well. And
Sure.
I think it's really important that you're authentic, and that can obviously look a lot of different ways. Some leaders are a little more fiery and demonstrative. Some are a little more laid back and low key. I think it's important that you are authentic. The second is, that you have a presence, and sometimes it's hard to describe what exactly that is, but I feel like the really good leaders that I've been around, or all have in varying personalities and traits, and they all seem to have a presence when they're in the room. You kind of know they're there, and you can kind of feel them. And those are two qualities that I like to look for in a leader.
Sure. Great. And you hit it right on the head. I think there's so many different styles, and it's an art. It really is an art to be able to be a good leader. This next question is my favorite one. This is from Nico Allen, who's a junior at Regis baseball player. And his question is: it is well known that many Major League Baseball players are very superstitious with careful rituals before, during, and after the game. As a former player yourself and now a manager, do you have any superstitions or rituals? And, I was able to play college baseball, played in the Cape for a couple of years, and even at that level, I've seen some pretty weird rituals, and I'm sure that you've seen a whole bunch yourself. So do you have any personally?
I think I'm not a real superstitious guy, because I hate to get caught up into, if I wasn't able to do something, then I'm married to that, or
Right.
There's too many things that can happen in the course of the day that throw you off a schedule, or throw you out of your routine a little bit, that I don't want to be married to anything that I have. That said, I do try and have some, I'm very schedule oriented.
Mm-hmm.
When we're at home, I tend to pick up when I look on my clock in my office. I know exactly what time I'm going out. I know exactly what I'm getting, taking with me, and the gum I want, and the 2 waters that I want. So I'm very routine oriented and disciplined. I don't necessarily look at it as superstition, because if I can't have something, or if something gets thrown off, it doesn't really affect me that much.
Sure. And there's a very fine line there between what's the routine and what's the superstition,
Yeah.
And I hope our boys are listening to this and hearing that they need to manage their time better. So
Yes.
that's very, very good to hear that. Okay, next question I have for you is from a senior Devin Cruz, soccer player and golfer. And this is a little more in depth, but I think he tied it together really, really well. Last year, the Yankees had an infamous amount of injuries to starting players, and yet were still able to succeed thanks to the efforts of some relatively unknown players. Gio, Mike Ford, Mike Talkman. When it came to deciding upon a playoff roster, you had to make some very tough decisions. How do you, as a manager, limit competition between players for starting spots? and tighten the bonds of the team as a whole while still pushing them to be the best players that they can be. And I would imagine that that's very tough given the level that the players are at.
Right. Well, we try and make, we're paid to make evaluations on people and
Mhm.
talents. I feel like our organization has done a great job from a player development standpoint. So, meaning anyone that's coming up through our minor league system that we've had to go reach in. And last year, for example, bringing guys up from the minor leagues, by and large, our guys were ready. They weren't overwhelmed. And I think that's a credit to our player development in preparing those guys, not only physically for, to be the best players they can be, but all that goes with, being a big leaguer, being a Yankee, being a rookie or a new player in the big leagues. It can be overwhelming at times. And I feel like our guys do a really good job of preparing our guys for all the ancillary stuff that's going on around them. I feel like our scouts and our analysts have done a great job as far as player acquisition. So, guys that, we've gone outside the organization to make a trade for or pick up on a waiver deal because we've had to fill a spot. Those guys, by and large, our organization's made some really good decisions. And then I get back to our culture.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I feel like we have a place that guys get the most out of themselves, are able to thrive, are able to be themselves and come into our room and be comfortable. And I think that's one of the pieces to the puzzle that has allowed a lot of guys to come in and, whether it's getting with our coaching staff, being around our players, that they're in an environment where hopefully they can grow, but also where they can really feel comfortable and be themselves. And as a result, I think we're able to get the most out of every guy's talent that we bring in the room. And that's certainly our goal. And it's something that I thought our guys did a really good job of last year.
Sure. And going back to that culture, having a culture for any winning team or organization and being able to maintain it is a challenge, but it solves a lot of problems, certainly. Okay, next thing I have for you isn't a question, but one of the students that sent me a few questions for you that were similar to what we asked here already. At the end of the email, he attached a message that he wanted me to relay to you. So I want to make sure that I gave it to you. And that's it. It's from Raymond Provost, who's a freshman track runner at Regis. And the message said this, very simple. P.S. Mr. Annunziata, I would like to make Mr. Boone, I would like him to know that I believe that he will eventually go down as the greatest manager in New York Yankees history. So you got some fans here, Aaron. I don't want to put any pressure on you, but you got some fans over here.
Well, that's great. If I go down as that, then we're about to go on a pretty strong run. So I appreciate that.
I know he's watching, so that's great. And just to wrap it up here, and the last question I have for you in relation to our seniors, obviously with these crazy circumstances and all the uncertainty and the adjustment that our seniors had to make, missing out on their seasons, the athletes, and just not being able to finish the graduation in person, and all of what comes with this this predicament that we're in. What would your message be to our Regis seniors who are about to embark on the next chapter of their life?
Yeah, adversity in this life is inevitable, and it's another thing. We talk to our guys. I talk to our guys all the time about, and, I'll equate it a little bit to the major league season, 162 games. It's a long season. It's a grind. And even in the best of seasons where you're doing great, there's going to be inevitable ups and downs. You're going to face adversity. And that's certainly a situation we're going through as a society, as a world right now. And I am totally mindful and respectful, and even hurts to know that, seniors aren't going to get to have their normal graduations or their normal senior sports seasons and things like that. And looking back, those are some times you treasure, but I think it's important that you focus on the relationships that you've forged, especially over these last few years, because they have a chance to be relationships that you'll take with you for the rest of your life. And I really believe that when you're able to kind of, this will be a time that hopefully we look back on, and, as individuals, as a city, as a town, as a state, as a country, as a world, hopefully there are things that we take from this that make us better moving forward, and, and sharpen some of the appreciations we have for the relationships we have, family, friends, jobs. These are times that, are difficult, but also help prepare you for inevitable gut punches you're going to get throughout your life. And hopefully we all will be a little bit better for going through this, challenging time.
Sure. Yeah. Aaron, thank you so much. For that, and for giving us your time here. This means a ton to our community. And I tell you, please know that we're going to be rooting for you guys. Maybe not the language department because they're all Mets fans, but don't worry about that. We'll be following you.
I really appreciate you having me on, and the best to everyone, and God bless you guys. Thank you
so much. Bless you as well, and good luck. Hopefully you guys start up soon.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.